In the sweeping highlands of southern Africa, amid the vast plateaus and fertile river valleys, rose a kingdom destined to leave an enduring mark on the continent's history. This was the Mutapa Empire, and at its heart stood King Mutota, a visionary leader, a fierce warrior, and the architect of an African dynasty that would stretch from the Zambezi River to the Indian Ocean. Long before the world came to know this region through European maps and colonizers' names, Mutota built something that rivaled the great empires of Mali and Ethiopia, establishing control over gold, mines, trade routes, and spiritual centers that shaped the soul of southern Africa. His story is one of expansion, adaptation, and legacy, a tale buried under centuries of silence, waiting to be told. The origins of King Mutota trace back to the Kingdom of Great Zimbabwe, a powerful state known for its majestic stone structures and command over trade in the southern African interior. Mutota was said to be a royal prince, likely the son of the last ruling monarch of Great Zimbabwe, and part of the Shona-speaking peoples who dominated the region. But as Great Zimbabwe began to decline, possibly due to overpopulation, environmental stress, or internal conflict, Mutota set out on a journey northward in search of new lands and new opportunities. What began as a scouting expedition became the foundation of a new empire. Legend says Mutota was initially sent to find salt, a commodity as valuable as gold at the time, vital for preserving food and maintaining trade with coastal merchants. His quest took him north to the Zambezi Valley, a rich and verdant land filled with fertile soil, cattle pastures, and most importantly, access to gold deposits and trade routes leading to the Swahili coast. It was here, far from the stone walls of Great Zimbabwe, that Mutota saw the potential for a new power to rise. And rise it did. Mutota didn't just settle new lands, he conquered them. With a combination of diplomacy and military force, he absorbed the local Tonga and Davara peoples. Integrating them into his growing kingdom, he established a new royal court, modeled after the traditions of Great Zimbabwe, but adapted to the new terrain and cultures he encountered. He took on the title of Queen Mutapa, or Lord of the Plundered Lands, a term that would eventually give the empire its name, the Kingdom of Mutapa. Under Mutota's leadership, the empire expanded rapidly. He consolidated control over gold mining regions that had once fed the wealth of Great Zimbabwe, and secured critical trade links with Arab and Swahili merchants on the Indian Ocean coast. Ivory, iron, and agricultural goods flowed outward, while luxury items like cloth, glass beads, and porcelain came in. Mutapa's empire became a node in a larger web of global commerce, connected not only to the African interior, but also to Asia and the Middle East. This level of economic integration was rare for a landlocked kingdom, and it was a direct result of Mutota's foresight. But King Mutota's brilliance wasn't just in conquest or trade, it was in governance. He understood that power required more than force. It required legitimacy. He maintained a centralized court, but allowed local chieftains to retain some authority, creating a system of indirect rule that preserved local traditions, while ensuring loyalty to the crown. He used religion, particularly the Maori cult, a spiritual system tied to rainmaking and ancestral veneration, to unify the diverse peoples of his empire. The king was not only a political ruler, but a spiritual intermediary, seen as chosen by the ancestors to bring prosperity to the land. Mutota also fostered cultural exchange. His empire became a melting pot of bandit traditions, Islamic influence from the coast, and even remnants of earlier southern African civilizations. Oral histories, craftsmanship, and language blended across the empire's territories, creating a uniquely Mutapan identity. In many ways, Mutota anticipated what modern leaders struggle to achieve: unity in diversity, strength through inclusion. By the time of his death in the mid-15th century, King Mutota had established one of the most formidable kingdoms in precolonial southern Africa. His son, Mutota, inherited a thriving state and expanded it even further, extending Mutapa's reach from modern-day Zimbabwe into Mozambique and parts of Zambia. The dynasty, founded by Mutota, would endure for centuries, resisting Portuguese incursions, internal rebellions, and shifting alliances well into the colonial period. Though later kings would struggle with foreign influence and division, the foundations laid by Mutota proved remarkably resilient. It's worth noting that the Portuguese, upon arriving on Africa's southeastern coast, quickly recognized the power of the Mutapa Empire. They referred to the ruler as the Mana Mutapa, a distorted version of the Shona title. Obsessed with the region's gold wealth, the Portuguese sent envoys and missionaries deep into Mutapa territory. While later rulers struggled with these entanglements, Mutota himself had crafted an empire strong enough to hold its own against early foreign probes. Despite the scale and significance of Mutota's achievements, his story is rarely told in textbooks or global historical narratives. The focus on West African empires like Mali or Songhai often overshadows the accomplishments of Southern African states. But Mutota belongs in that same pantheon. His empire was expansive, wealthy, sophisticated, and enduring. The stone ruins of Great Zimbabwe make it the most architectural acclaim, but it was Mutota who ensured the legacy of that civilization lived on in a new form, adapted to a new landscape. Today, scholars and archaeologists continue to uncover more about the Mutapa Empire's reach and complexity, from the trade goods found at inland dig sites to the oral traditions preserved by Shona elders. Even without every detail, Mutota's impact is undeniable. He was a king who didn't just flee a crumbling kingdom, he built a better one. He took decline and turned it into opportunity. He forged alliances, conquered rivals, and secured prosperity for generations. In the story of Africa's great leaders, his name deserves to stand tall. King Mutota's legacy is not just etched in the soil of the Zambezi Valley, it lives on in the descendants of the peoples he united, in the cultural traditions he helped sustain, and in the economic and political systems that echoed long after his reign. His story reminds us that African history is not a monolith, it is a tapestry of empires, innovators, and visionaries, and among them, Mutota stands as the founding flame of the Mutapa Empire, a king whose vision turned salt into sovereignty and ambition into empire. Follow for more history they never taught us in school.